definitely the largest difficulty I had, was trying to work with the Google API after I got it set up. I found there just wasn't much documentation that I could find online, and the Google Maps website itself kind of just didn't really cover how to implement different things. It gave you examples, and then you kind of just had to tinker with the examples yourself, which got me pretty far, but not to the full functionality that I was expecting to have done. So some of the issues that I think someone would have when utilizing APIs with their website is that you are relying on a third party for code. I think that could be an issue, say, if you're working with a smaller company's API that, or not even necessarily a company, but someone's API, they could make potential harmful changes to it without alerting users to this. They could be doing this for malicious reasons, or they may just be making changes to the code that impacts how your code would run. So I think that's definitely a security issue. And then, so that's definitely not something you'd probably have to worry with a larger company, say like the Google Maps API, but for maybe something smaller, that is something you need to be aware of, that you are relying on a third party, and they might not necessarily have your security issues in mind. So this was really interesting, actually. I didn't think it was going to be that easy just to gather information about a user just based off their IP address that easily, and I can definitely see how it's going to be beneficial for companies to collect this type of data. So I think one of the largest reasons is that companies will be able to understand their demographic better, at least location-wise. With some of the data that we gathered in this demonstration, companies would be able to get a pretty good idea of, where the majority of their users are connecting to them from, which could be beneficial for several reasons, primarily business decisions. If they wanted to, they could, I don't know, tailor their ads or tailor their content to users in that area. And then I think another important information that we didn't necessarily do in this demonstration, but I saw you had covered in your own example that you gave us, was that browser information can also be gathered in a very similar, easy manner, which is something that's going to be really important from a development standpoint. Say if you notice that a large amount of your users are, say, using Internet Explorer or whatever the current Microsoft version of it is, but you know that your website definitely has issues running on that browser, you may make more of a point to try and get those issues fixed and deliver a better experience to the users that are on that browser. So just knowing the types of browsers that people are using and the versions of it as well, if you know that there's certain exploitations in older browser versions, you may try and reach out to users, encourage them to update if you know they're using your site and you don't want a vulnerability because of their browser choice to impact your website. So that's definitely two large reasons that it's important for companies to gather this data. But overall, I found this demonstration to be really interesting, and I'm curious to see what all else can actually be done with this type of data.